we're just finishing up putting these windows in on this commercial building. I want to go over the importance of water shedding as you paper. Now the whole construction industry as a whole is starting to realize the importance of the watershed. So this building, we're going to stucco this one. And this, even though it's a commercial building, it's residential windows and residential applications. So this will apply to pretty much everybody out there. You always have to think watershed, and you have to think about it right from the very bottom all the way to the top. Okay, so we're on the second floor here. Basically this window here, when you install your windows, now a lot of times what you'll do is you'll just cut a strip of paper, you'll put it at the bottom on the framing. Okay, now in this case we're using 2 layers. We're doing a 30 minute felt paper for stucco, and then Typar as our additional layer. Now, like code in our area states that you need 2 layers of 30 minute, but we're using the Typar because it might be a month or 2 before my stuccoer makes it, and this won't deteriorate, it won't curl up, it won't rip. So if the wind comes up, it won't rip all my paper off and just ruin all my watershed. The height of everything worked out perfectly, where this paper, we just ended it a couple inches above the opening, right? We put our window in. Okay, so now if you look at this window that has this peel and stick, the peel and stick was put on over top of the flange. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next here. So we're going to put a peel and stick here. So then if water gets in from the top, it'll be on top of this, and it'll run down and over top of all the rest of my paper. Now, same thing here. The water will run down, even if it's running down the inside of this flange, it won't get in behind the peel and stick, and then there's nothing to trap it under here. It can just run off of this flange. So even if water trickles around, it can actually just flow off of the paper and continue on the way down. Okay? Basically, yeah, you install your window on top of your paper like this. Now everything else goes on top of the flange, on top, and then you just work your way up when you paper bottom to top. Okay, so yeah, the next step here is we'll do our 6-inch peel and stick right on the wood. We'll do our sides, and then we'll do the top last. Then what we've been doing is by code, here I'll show you this drip cap. We have this drip cap already pre-made up. Our code in Canada states you need a 1-inch dam. So I've cut this drip with a 1-inch dam like this. I'll show you how to do one of those here. I'll just shoot another quick video on how to actually cut the dam. After the first layer of peel and stick, we'll put this drip cap on. We'll put just a few nails, probably 3 in this one. Okay. Then what I'll do is, because we have a 1-inch dam, I don't want to wreck this 1 inch of metal, because this is always exposed. So I'll actually I'll do another row of peel and stick across the top of this. So I peel and stick behind, then this, then another peel and stick. Then after that, then I finish all my paper. And this second layer of peel and stick, I'm not sure if it's necessary, but you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. After that's all done, then you just finish your paper, and like I said, you just start at the bottom, make sure that everything's watershed, just like you shingle a roof. Now, since we've gone through all the peel and stick and the drip cap stuff, I just want to show you how to start as well. Now, I've learned this over the years, just by doing garages and all sorts of things, especially garages actually. So in this scenario, we have our drip cap. It goes on first, but before that, see right here is my slab. Same as a garage. It's basically the concrete, and then your wall sits on top of that, right? Is I took this product called Hydrolastic 836, and actually it's like a rubberized, I don't even know what you call it. It's incredible stuff. We smeared that between the wall and the concrete to seal up that connection. Because what a lot of guys do is they'll put their drip cap right at the bottom of the wall. Okay, so that's great. Like, I don't know if you can see the sidewalk here, but when the water comes up, or if you get a hard rain, the water can just drive under the drip and under the wall and just right into your building. Okay, so I did my hydrolastic first, and then I dropped my drip cap 1 inch past the concrete. Okay, And then that comes into another factor is when you're doing your foundation work, make sure you're 100% so that when your walls are framed, they're actually flush with the concrete, not overhanging and vice versa. My drip is over top of the concrete and it's got hydroelastic in behind. So if I get a driving rain, water won't get into my building, right? It can cause a lot of issues. Same thing goes is we did our layer of tar paper. I couldn't actually staple it, that's why it's curling up. When the stuccoers come and put their mesh down, that'll hold that flat. And then you just work your way up. And everything is shingled. You see how this all tucks up under this. Everything's just shingled and layered properly. Another detail that we want to show you is how to paper in behind a deck ledger. Now, this deck is already, it's not Duradeck, but let's just call it that for the sake of the ease. I might have to draw you a picture or I'll show you on another location on this job, try to describe how we papered it. But essentially, what we did, now it's kind of hard to see because Buddy wrapped his vinyl up so high, but before we put our deck ledger on, we did our layer of 30-minute tar paper and our tie part. And it goes up in behind and above where our deck ledger went. Now, then we put our deck on, and then we allowed this paper, we kind of, when we attached it, we left it kind of loose so that Buddy could come and do his Duradeck, run it up, and then what we're going to do is when we get a little more time, we're going to put our drip cap here. Okay? Think about this. Water starts at the top. It's running down. It gets in behind the stucco because stucco isn't 100% sealed. So the water gets in here, sheds down, sheds over all this, and then because our drip cap will be underneath this, it'll just come off of the drip, onto the deck and off. Okay? Now let's say in some crazy world, it gets in behind the deck ledger. We have our 2 layers of paper in behind the ledger so that whatever's below the deck is protected, because then let's say water gets behind the ledger but it's still on top of the paper, everything else is designed, it runs off of the front of all the paper, over all the drip caps, over top of the windows, or just down to our very bottom drip cap, out and onto the sidewalk. So that's how that's designed. This is the deck ledger I was talking about. So the paper had to run in behind the ledger regardless because we had to wrap around the corner. This is one thing that I would do different, and I will do different from now on, is if this wasn't a Duradeck, I would actually do like a heavy basement grade peel and stick in behind the ledger, because there's so many fasteners into the building that I would worry that if water does get in behind the ledger that it could go through all the nails. So at least a big heavy peel and stick will actually kind of self-seal around the fasteners. So if you're just doing regular deck boards, I would highly recommend that. And like I said, put your paper underneath, leave a flap of peel and stick so that you could go at least 4 inches over top of your paper and watershed it properly, right? The other thing that some of the new codes are coming out with that my inspector was telling me is that if you had deck boards on here, they'd actually want a drip cap on the bottom side of the ledger and on the top side. And once again, drip cap, paper on top, and then that other drip, the paper would extend past that drip, then the drip cap on top of the ledger, then you'd start your paper on top of that drip again. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's kind of how it's going, is with all these issues, with all the water problems, especially near coastal areas, big apartment complexes, the building industry is really noticing that, hey man, this is like a huge deal, and we got to make sure the watershed is done properly. I want to show you how to do the 1-inch dam on these drip caps. So what I've done is I've just made a 1-inch mark here and this one here. I don't use my square. I find it's too slow, and as long as you're confident in your eyeball, you can just freehand it. So I'm just going to cut this drip up to where it has a bend, and I'm just going to cut that piece off. Then I'm going to cut this back all the way to this inside corner. Okay. Then I'm just going to fold this flat. Okay, so if I bend this up, hopefully this demonstrates, it'll be a 1 inch all the way square. But I don't really like the look of that. It's too sharp of a corner. So I've just been cutting, you know, about 3/4 of an inch high and just kind of giving it a slight angle like that. Then what I do is I'll just bend this up like so. Now, one trick that I learned is you can't re-bend it on this factory seam, because what it does is it pulls the drip cap 90 degrees, and you don't want that. I think you want like a 6-degree bevel. So in order to keep the bevel, you actually have to make a new bend in it, which is basically the hardest part. What I do is I just basically do the human vise here, just press it as hard as I can, and then just bend it over like that. Tweak it with my hand, and then that's that. So that's your 1 inch. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or check us out on some of the following.